Hey guys, welcome back. What I wanted to do in this video is talk about finding the LCM. I actually have a coding interview assignment that is centered around finding the LCM. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so here's the coding interview assignment. So you have the number 2,520. So 2,520 is the smallest number that can be divided by each of the numbers from 1 through 10 without any remainder. What is the smallest positive number that is evenly divisible by all of the numbers from 1 through 20? So the first thing that we need to do when we get this assignment in an interview is this. We need to break down the problem. So we have the number 2,520. Now, as I said before, 2,520 is the smallest number that can be divided by each of the numbers from 1 through 10. What this means is that 2,520 is the least common multiple, or the LCM, of all the numbers from 1 through 10. And if you remember from math class, LCM is the smallest number that two or more numbers can be divided evenly into. So what that means is that if we divide the number 1 into 2,520, we get no remainder. Number 2, we divide that into 2,520, we don't get a remainder, and so on, all the way through 10. So what we need to do now is figure out how do we find the LCM of two or more numbers. And that's going to be explained on this next page. So let's find the LCM of two numbers. Let's start off small. So we have two numbers here, 35 and 60. What we need to do is find the LCM of these two numbers. So as you can see here on the left side, we have 35. What we want to do is find two numbers that we can multiply together that are going to give us 35. We have 5 times 7, and that's ultimately going to give us 35. So we're pretty much just figuring out what two numbers will give us the product of 35 here. Now, we go over to our right side, we have the number 60. So we have to think to ourselves, what numbers will give us 60? What two numbers are going to give us 60? First thing that should probably pop in your mind is 6 times 10. That's going to give you 60. And then from there, what we need to do is break down what this number is, this 6, to 2 times 3. And then we want to do the same thing for 10 here, 2 times 5. And as you can see, we don't go any further than these numbers here. We could break these numbers down to 2 times 1 and 3 times 1, but we don't want to go any further than that. You know, we just basically want to stop at the numbers that we've broken down, but we don't want to break this down even further. Okay, now we have 35. What we want to do is just simply bring these two numbers down. So 5 times 7 is going to give you 35. And then for 60, we don't want to take these numbers. We want to take these last numbers that we've broken down. So we have 2, 3, 2, and 5. So 2 times 3 times 2 times 5. So we're going to use these numbers to help us find the LCM. So to find the LCM of 35 and 60, we first need to bring down the numbers that we get for 35, which are 5 and 7, which you can see here. We then want to bring down the numbers for 60. And what we have here is 2, 3, and 2. As you can see, we do not bring down the 5. We don't bring down the 5 because in order to get 60, only one 5 needs to be present. So we only need to bring down that 5 once, and it's already been brought down here. Another way to look at it is if we have numbers in both of in both of our solutions here, 5 here and 5 here, we only want to bring it down once. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Alright, so what we want to do now is pretty much just multiply these numbers and figure out our result. So 5 times 7 will give you 35. We have 2 times 3, which will give you 6. We bring that down, and then we have 2, which we bring down. We then are going to multiply 6 and 2, which will give us 12. We also want to bring down our 35, and then from there we multiply 35 times 12, which will give us 420. So what this means is that 420 is the LCM of 35 and 60. Now, initially, what you saw on the previous page is that we were given a number that will give us, we're given the number 2,000. Let me go back for a minute. Yeah, so 2,520, okay? So that's the smallest number that can be divided by each of the numbers from 1 through 10. And here we only have 2 numbers, and you can imagine how difficult it would be to find the LCM of the numbers 1 through 10 by just simply drawing out charts like this. And the thing that makes it easier is for us to write code for that. And that's what we're going to do now. So let's jump right into the code. Hey guys, so this is going to be the coding portion of this video, and the number one goal in this part of the video is to basically find out what is the smallest positive number that is evenly divisible by all of the numbers from 1 through 20. Now, before actually writing code for this, we're going to start off small, and first I'm going to show you how to find the LCM of only 2 numbers, and then from there I'm going to show you how to find the LCM of a range of numbers, and then from there we'll be able to figure out the smallest positive number that is evenly divisible between 1 and 20. So let's jump right into it. As you can see here, I have myself just an empty Java project. We have our main method here, and before I even start, let me zoom this in for you guys. Alright, so as I said before, the first thing that we're going to do is write a method that is going to find the LCM of 2 numbers passed in. So I just want to go public static int find LCM. Alright, and now from here I just want to pass in 2 numbers, int x, int y. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is write a variable that's going to hold the maximum number. Int max equals, well, just int max. That's all we need for now. And now we need this variable to hold the maximum number between these 2 numbers. All right. So we're just going to go max equals, and then we're going to go x greater than y, question mark, and then from there we're just going to go x, y. I'm going to explain how this works in a minute. Okay. So basically what we have here is we're going to have this max value, then this max variable, and what's going to happen here is if x is greater than y, and then x is going to be stored in this max value. Else, if y is greater than x, then y is going to be stored into this max value. All right. So after this, just move this. Okay. So after we do this, what we need to do is actually create ourselves a while loop. So it's going to go something like this: while true. All right. I want to create this loop here because there's going to be a conditional statement that I place in here that needs to be repetitively executed until we find a solution. So we're just going to go while true. You know, so I'm going to go in here, and then in this while loop, what we're going to do is have ourselves an if conditional statement. So we're just going to go if max percent x or mod x equals 0, and max mod y equals 0, Then what we want to do is return max. And then outside of here, we just want to go max. All right. And we really don't need these braces here if you don't want them. I mean, these braces are optional. It just makes the code look a little bit cleaner once I have it like this. So basically what's happening here is this. If we just follow the code, there are going to be, first of all, two numbers passed in, x and y. From there, we're going to find the maximum number between these two numbers. After that, we're going to jump into this while loop, which is going to continually be executed until a value is returned. And that value will be this max value. And what we have in this conditional statement, we're basically saying that if the number that is passed in divided by this max number, if the max number divided by this number passed in is equal to 0, and the max number divided by the other number passed in is equal to 0, then what that means is that we found our LCM. All right, that will be the lowest common multiple of those two numbers passed in. So basically, we always need to start off with that max number, because we can't start off with a number that's less than the max number, because we know that that big number is never going to fit into the small number when we're doing this division here. And basically this modulus basically means that there's not going to be a remainder. So it's basically saying if we have the max and we divide it by x and there is no remainder, and we have the max and we divide it by y and there's also no remainder, then that will give us the lowest common multiple. So let's just say that both of these, like one of these, has a remainder. What's going to happen is that there's going to be an increment on that max number, and then from there this while loop is going to be executed again, and it's going to continuously be executed until we find a number that is divisible between these two numbers, y and x. So hopefully this code makes sense for you guys. If it doesn't, let me know in the comments below, but we're actually going to test this out now. All right. So what we're going to do is actually go up into this main method. Inside the main method, we just simply want to do this. Sys out .println, and then we just want to go find LCM, and then we just want to go 30 and 25. All right, 30, comma 25. All right. Or instead of this, you know what, let's go back to our, instead of 30 and 25, let's actually go back to our presentation, right? So we go back to our presentation, and let's take these two numbers, 35 and 60. We should get 420 back, right? So 35 and 60 are what we're going to pass in. 35 and 60. All right. So once we execute this, the LCM of the two numbers passed in is going to be returned. So I'm just going to run it. 420, which is exactly what we get here. All right, 420. And in order to double check this even more, we can actually go online right now. And then we can go 35 and 60. I have a calculator here. 35, 60, calculate, we get 420. All right. So that's how you would go about finding the LCM of two numbers being passed in. So just format this. All right. So now you know how to write code that is going to find you the LCM of two numbers passed in. Now what we want to do next, let me zoom this in. Now what we want to do next is find the LCM of a range of numbers. All right, so let's just go here, create another method, and this method is going to go public static int find LCM, let's just say array. All right, so what we're going to have in this parameter is int array. It's going to be an array of integers. And obviously this does need a return, but we're gonna write the code and eventually we're gonna return something. All right. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do in this method is this. We need to create a variable to hold the first element within the array. All right, so we're just going to go int results equals 0. The reason I'm using result is because this is what's going to be returned, because I'm going to assign the value of result to something else later on. But we're just going to have this being just the first element in the array that's passed in. All right, now after that, what we want to do is create a loop that is going to loop through every element within the array. So we're just going to go for int I equals 1. Reason we're using 1 is because we're already taking this array at position 0. So we want to start off at 1 when we enter this loop. I is lesser than array.length I plus plus. Okay. Now, what we need to do now is the final, once we make our way through this loop, what we're going to do now is write this. We're going to go result equals, and then we're going to use our method that we created earlier, this find LCM. Find LCM, okay? And then from here, we're just going to go result, comma, then array at position I. And then outside of this, we're just going to return result. All right. So what's happening here? We're going to take in an array. We're going to grab the first element within that array and store it into this variable called result. From there, we're going to iterate through every item in the list, omitting the first item in the list. We're going to start off at 1, as you see here. And the value of this result is going to be the LCM between these two numbers that are passed in. So we're going to take the number at position 1, at position 0 actually, and compare that against every number within this array. Okay? And then ultimately, after we iterate over the array, so basically when we're iterating the array, we're calling this method every time. Every time we iterate through the array, we're calling this method here. And this method is going to find the LCM of two numbers that are being passed in. So eventually, eventually this first number is, when it first starts off, this first number, which is going to be the array at position 0, is going to be compared against the array at position 1, the integer at position 1 within that array. And it's going to make its way through here, find the max number. From there, it's going to go through this while loop and then find an LCM of two numbers that were passed in. Okay, and then eventually from there, you're going to get your maximum number, and then is going to execute this method again for each number within this array. And ultimately, what's going to happen is that we're going to get the LCM of all the numbers within this array list. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. I'll try to explain it the best way I could. As I said before, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. But now we're just going to test this out. So in our presentation, we tested the numbers 1 through 10, right? Or we have the value for the numbers 1 through 10. So we're just going to go sys out, and then we're going to, well, first of all, before we even do this, we have to create ourselves an array. We're going to go int test numbers. Okay. This is going to be array equal to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and have a semicolon. So we have the numbers 1 through 10. Now we're going to pass it into this method, find LCM array. Test numbers. Now, go back here. It was already given to us that the LCM for numbers 1 through 10 is going to be 2,520. So what we're going to do now is actually execute this, run this. So we get 2,520, which you see here. 2,520. All right. Now, what we need to do next is look at our main goal. What is the smallest positive number that is evenly divisible by all of the numbers from 1 through 20? Only thing we have to do, simply add the rest of the numbers. $11, $12, $13, $14, $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So what we need to do now, basically just run the code and see what we get. We run it. This is the answer. So that's the LCM of numbers 1 through 20. We can also double check this in an actual calculator online, just to make this a whole lot more clear and make sure we're getting the right result. Okay, let's copy these numbers, make our way here, paste 1 through 20, calculate. That's exactly what we get. We can actually just do this to compare, both the numbers and zoom in. You can see 232792560. 232792560. The exact same numbers. So just wanted to show you guys how to do this through code. I was looking online and I saw this question and just wanted to try to figure this out. And That's how you would go about doing it. All right. All right, guys. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video if you've learned something here. And also, don't forget to subscribe. And see you in the next one.